is 11:06 Eastern Standard on the 31st of December, which means it's New Year's Eve. And something I kind of wanted to talk about with that, pseudo, I guess, motivational, you could call it. Everybody looks at the new year as a fresh start. Oh, it's January 1st, I can do anything. You can do that literally any time in your life. If you want to wait till January 1st, then you're making that choice to wait till January 1st to make a change. Because choosing inactivity is also a choice. Obviously, as I just stated it. But if there's something going on in your life, if there's some aspect of your life that you don't like, you always can start in even the smallest way of changing. You don't have to wait for a specific date. You don't have to wait for January 1st. You don't have to wait till Monday. In any time, you have the choice to say, I don't like the job I'm in. I don't like the relationship I'm in. I don't like the people that I hang out with. At any time, you can make that choice. And that just needs to be something that, I don't know, maybe some people need to hear that. That if you're upset with some aspect of your life that's not going the way you want it to be, you're the sole person in control of that. I worked at Walmart for 8 years in one stretch. I also had a year and a half or so before that. And I'm not bashing Walmart. Most of the managers I had were pretty good managers. You're going to see it's different between store to store, obviously, depending on just who you're working for. The managers I had always worked with me as far as my schedule, because when I first started, I was finishing up getting my associates at a local community college, and that was my first step towards a career that I really wanted, which was working with computers and computer repair and fixing computers and whatnot. And it took me 8 years to finally, at the last second, get that job. And I just got lucky, because anyone else in our area is so small for an IT related job, and it's flooded with so many IT professionals. You basically had to move off, or at least drive an hour to get any type of work with that. I stayed at Walmart for the longest time, and I liked my job. I liked the people I worked with. I even got the itch to move up the corporate chain. I started working in the pet department, and some of the guys that worked on the inventory control team, which is what it used to be called, ICS, they liked working with me, and they said, hey, you should come work with us. We think you're a really good worker. You'd make more money working on ICS. So I went through and I switched positions, and I started working on ICS, and eventually that position changed into the inventory management system, or IMS, and the same thing. We rolled out that project. They hired a manager for it, and she came to me and said she wanted me to be on her team for the IMS, and so I joined that, and I worked on there. I ended up being the lead associate for that, which isn't a supervisory position, but it kinda is. But it wasn't the man, you still had a manager on the team. So I did that for a while, and I enjoyed that job, and all my knowledge was in the back room. And so I thought, if I wanted to move up in the company, like some of my friends were doing, I needed Salesforce experience. So I ended up, I had a friend that, was gung-ho about me coming to the grocery department and working with them. And as soon as I transferred to the grocery department, they left and took they went to a different Walmart in a higher position. So I can't blame them from that, but then I missed out on all that training they were going to give me. So I really got no training whatsoever. And then they wanted me in electronics instead of grocery because that's what I know. That's what I like. I'm a huge movie buff and video game, you know. That's the stuff that I like and actively read about. And so they're like, yeah, we think we want the best person in that position we think is you. And so I got moved over to electronics, where again I had no support and no structure and no training. And I went back to the inventory management team that I had started on, and that was when I was really like just done with Walmart. I still continued to, to work as hard as I can, because I still worked with all my friends and I still saw my friends. And the most frustrating thing is working with someone who doesn't give, 100% when they're working. They feel like that's hurting the company somehow and that it's sticking it to the man, but all you're doing is making it harder for your coworkers and your friends. And that's just, that's frustrating. But anyways, come back to that in a little bit. So there was a big company coming to our area, and so I started looking into that. They had a job fair. I went to the job fair and primarily wanted to ask about the IT department because, again, that's the kind of job I've always wanted. And ended up getting hired for a different position. And so I was like, well, I'll try it. If they think that I can do it, then I'll do it to the best of my ability. And so I started with that company, started training, and they started training me on a different job because they wanted me to do that instead. And then, so 3 months after all this training, and I started the actual job, and I hated it. I got super bad anxiety, and I couldn't deal with it, and people are like, oh, you're just nervous, and I know what nerves are. Again, I've been in theater from 4th grade till I graduated. I know what nerves are, and what I felt doing that job was not nerves, and I was in a super bad place. And so I started talking to my HR person to get me moved anywhere because I needed a job, obviously. At this point, I finally quit Walmart and was dedicated full time to my new job, and I needed anything else. And so finally, at the last second, literally, I went in to quit. Had all my stuff in a bag, to say thanks for the opportunity, but I just couldn't deal. And I walk in, and he said, hey, I've got an interview set up for you for IT. And it was just the biggest sigh of relief. I can't tell you how excited and happy I was. So, they had a thing where you could go on reassignment where you're not fired, but you don't work until you've got 30 days or whatever to get a new job. So I went on reassignment, had my job interview, and was fortunate enough to get the IT position with a 2-year degree and no work experience, with a 2-year degree that was 8 years old. And now it's over 2 years later, and I've gotten a promotion in the job that, is basically my dream job. And so all of that story leading up to if you're not happy with where you are, you have the chance to change that. Only you can do that. If you don't actively try to find something new, then you're choosing to remain at that job that you don't want to do anymore. And while we're on the topic of that, always give 100% to your job. I don't care how much you hate your job. I don't care if it's mucking horse stalls. Always do the job 100% to your ability. Because again, I rose through those ranks at Walmart based on the hard work that other people saw me do. I could have stayed in pets. I could have stayed and just did the bare minimum and hated my job and let that reflect to all the people around me so people wouldn't want to talk to me because I hated my job. And your job is, most people, 40 hours of your week, if not more. You know, you might have a part-time job and that's great. You're working, that's great. But, you know, for working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, I don't understand people that are unhappy at their job. And there are jobs out there. I don't know. There are jobs available. You have to be a willing person to do those jobs. Because not all jobs are fun. Not all jobs are dreamy, you know. People come in and, because I work in an office, you know, and they come in and they're like, wow, man, it must be nice to sit in here. Yeah, you know, the schooling that I went through and then the 8 years of busting my tail at Walmart, all finally resulting in a nice job that, you know, is specialized. It's something that I worked hard to get to, and people don't see that. You know, I've talked to people, and it's and they're almost like, oh, so they let you go to IT. Well, yeah, they let me transfer to IT because I was qualified for IT. They didn't just say, oh, well, this is your new job. No, I proved to the manager and you know, that I knew what I was doing and that I could do it. And, you know, and they took the risk, really. Even with just a 2-year degree doesn't mean anything. But even while I was at Walmart, I've had people, I had a Pepsi vendor come up to me one day and said, Philip, you know, I noticed you come in here, you know, you don't have to be told what to do. You come in, you work, and I'd like you to come work for me. And I was like, what? And it wasn't with Pepsi. It was a different job he had that he was going into, and he wanted me to come be his assistant. He knew I had a computer background just from talking to me, and he wanted me to come be his assistant, working for him. And then it ended up the job fell through for him, so he didn't get to bring an assistant and all that. That's not important. People see you. Not even just your coworkers see you when you're working, and they make, you know, they make observations and say, hey, this guy, he's a hard worker, or this guy's lazy. So I'm obviously not gonna interact with him. I'm not gonna go to that person for help. I'm not gonna ask that person for anything. And it's just, I'm rambling, but long story short, no matter what your job is, always give 100%. And you're going to end up feeling better about, I know it sounds crazy, you'll probably think I'm lying, but because I wanted to go to Walmart and just get by doing the bare minimum, and I just couldn't do it. I liked being that guy that people came to. I liked being able to help others. And that's in IT, fixing computers, I still get to do that because, you know, just my customers are our accounting department instead of, you know, the customers on the floor or something. So always work your hardest. Do everything you can at your job, and you will be recognized for it. I assure you. You yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but you will get recognized for your hard work. And it might lead to crazy opportunities that you never expected. It might be some random guy that you talk to in the mornings and say hi to, offering you a job as his personal assistant whenever he gets a job at the college. Which, again, it fell through, but that's besides the point. Um, People notice that stuff. And it's so frustrating working with those people that don't care about their job. You'll see them, and you probably know who they are. If you don't know who they are, then it's probably you. But, you know, walking through the back hall, and they've just got just the sourest look on their face. You know, they hate being at work. Well, I don't care if you hate being here or not. You got to do your job. If you hate it that much, then go somewhere else. They don't talk to anybody. They don't make any friends. As soon as their break hits, they're out in their vehicle on their phone talking to whoever it is, wherever they'd rather be. And that's the most frustrating thing for your coworkers. And I understand, because it's one of the things that everyone says is, well, I'm not here to make friends. And that's fine. You know, but there's a completely different way about going to work and being an enjoyable person to be around, and still being business with those people, and just being a jerk that nobody wants to talk to. Because I've talked to managers. I've got friends that are managers. One of my good friends that I trained is now a co-manager. And it's just amazing. You know, I'm so happy to see my friends that have moved up and have done great in the company. And you know, at the end of the day, it is a business. And when they say, I'm not here to make friends, that's in reference to, I still expect you to do your job. We're friends. We can cut up and joke around, but don't disrespect me to the other associates, and don't think that you can not do your job because we're friends. That's what that means when people say, I'm not here to make friends. That's what they're referring to. It's business. You're going to affect my lifestyle and the ability to pay my bills and, you know, treat my family to stuff if you don't do your job. That's the reference when somebody says, I'm not here to make friends. That is not you be a jerk to everybody because you're not there to make friends. No. You do your job well and be a pleasant person to be around. Like, that's not asking for anything special. Nod to me in the hallway when I say hi to you. Hey, there we go. That's great. That's all the human interaction you want. That's fine. We can do that. I hate being here. People are crazy. Anyways. So, it won't be easy. Making changes in your life, it's not going to be easy. But it's not going to be, it's either something you're going to do that's going to take time and persistence, or it's something that you're not going to do and you're going to remain in that rut where you're not going anywhere and you're not happy. And that's going to affect everything. That's going to affect the people not wanting to be around you, or you not being able to be around them, you know. I think it was Bruce Lee that said, water cuts through rock, not because it's stronger than the rock, but because it's persistent. If you want to make a change and you're actively working forward to make that change, then that's great. It's gonna take time. Like I said, I did a grind for 8 years at Walmart before I finally got the opportunity to show someone that, hey, I can work on computers, and now that's what I get to do. I love the people I work with, and I love going. I enjoy going to work, and not everybody can say that, but maybe if you change some things in life, you will find that job that you enjoy going to every day. And then it's not even like you're really having to work. Another thing is, don't tell yourself that you can't do something. Recently at work, I for the people that understand what I'm saying, we had 32-bit operating systems, and we upgraded some computers to 64-bit. The 64-bit, for those of you who don't know, because I don't truly know all the differences in them, but the 64-bit allows different hardware, basically. The easiest way to explain it, because it's not super important to the story. So, one of those 64-bit computers wouldn't run our one bit of our software anymore because it needed a 32-bit operating system. So I started working on it, and we had just gotten one of our new guys, and I had been training him for a couple weeks. He was getting ready to transition to his normal shift, and I said, "All right, man, it's all you today. You answer all the calls, you answer all the walk-ins. Any help you need, ask me. I'm here. But if the phone rings, you're going to answer it unless you're already helping somebody, in which case I will, obviously I'll pick up whatever slack there is." So it was kind of the perfect storm, because he was doing all that and I was able to work on one problem. And it took me about 6 hours. I was working and researching and downloading stuff and trying new things. And around hour 5.5, my manager said, "Philip, are you working on the program for their computer?" And I said, "Yeah, and I think I've got it. I'm just I did it on my computer, but I don't have logins for it. So I'm doing everything on their computer so that they can log into it." And she said, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think it works." Well, if that works, that's something that our sister site doesn't do. They haven't figured out how to do that. And I was like, "Really?" "Yeah, they don't do that. They have to do it a different way. Different computers, I don't know how they have it set up there, but they can't use a 64-bit Windows to run that program like I was able to find." Turns out also one of our sites in Ontario, Canada, emailed for my documentation on how to set it up. I don't know if 20 other sites also don't use that because they don't know how to, or I don't know. But what it boils down to is it took 6 hours, again, persistence. It took 6 hours, and I was lucky enough to find out a way to make it work on the computer system for us, on more efficient, better running computers. If my boss had told me at hour 1, "Oh yeah, that doesn't work, they can't do it, so we don't do it. I would have said, oh, okay. And I would have stopped. I wouldn't have wasted or thought I was wasting 6 hours of my day for something that wasn't going to work. Instead, I set out to accomplish something and I accomplished it. I would have stopped long before that, never fixed it, and we'd have still had to go in some big long roundabout way to do things. So it's, it's just stopping. I would have stopped before I even failed, is basically what I'm saying. So don't tell yourself that you can't do something without first trying. And then try again. I think it was Thomas Edison. No. Ben Franklin? Ben Franklin. That said, he didn't discover, he didn't fail at inventing the light bulb 140 times or whatever the number is. He found 140 ways not to make the light bulb until he found the way that actually worked. And I'm probably butchering that, but still, I would have failed before I gave myself the chance to succeed. And so that's just something that it's pseudo-motivational. Work hard, you will get rewarded for it. I promise you. You might not realize it. It might not be for years, but you will be rewarded for your hard work. And don't quit before trying something, because your mind will stop long before, your mind will stop long before your body will. Something like that. I don't know. I've really kind of gone off the train here. I'm not even sure how long this video is getting. It's probably super long though, much longer than I intended it to be. Oh, yep, it's 11:30. 11:34 actually. 26 minutes till the new year, so that's exciting. So yeah, going into 2018, anything that you want to change, you have the power to change it. Only you have the power to change it. Your want has to be stronger than your won't. There we go. That sounds motivational. But yeah, so thanks for checking out my video. I hope some of it sounded good. I hope you enjoyed listening to a little story time with Superphil. Hopefully I didn't say and ooh too much, because I don't script these things. You guys know that. So hopefully you will have a good new year. Hopefully you'll get out of those toxic relationships, whether it be romantic or platonic. If you have friends that are holding you down, if you have friends that put you down, if you have a job that you don't like, look at creating yourself and look at finding another job, or just changing jobs where you already work. I was looking at everything I could, an hour up to an hour away, because I needed anything. Hospital work. There's a really super motivational speech by Jim Carrey. I might be able to post a link to it, but it's Jim Carrey giving, the speech, the commencement speech at some college about, going out and finding your dream job. And so if you're going to go out and, apply at the local grocery store, that's great. You have just as much of a chance of being denied that job as you do being an IT professional at the hospital, or working at the library or something. Whatever your dream job is, you have just as much a chance of getting that job as you do a safe job that you think is easier to obtain. So if you're going to be looking for those, you know, if you're going to be looking for jobs that you're going to hate, you might as well look for jobs that you're also going to love, right? Anyways, I'm all going off on another tangent. I wish you all a happy new year, and hopefully you'll be seeing more of me right here at Superphil's Fortress of Solitude. Is that right? Yeah. See you guys.